Welcome to the Gavel. I am Terry Ikumi. We're inching closer to the resumption of the National Assembly, which is just days away now, even though there are speculations that there could be an extension. We wait to see. Well, this week on the Gavel, we'll take an in-depth look at the cleanup exercise in Ogoniland with a member of the House of Representatives from that area. But first, a report on activities by federal lawmakers in the past week. Take a listen. The Kebbi State Caucus of the House of Representatives is asking the federal government to come to the aid of farmers in the state. The lawmakers, who fear that the state alone cannot handle the situation, say the floods have wrecked buildings, swept off rice farms and caused a setback in the federal government's effort to end rice importation.
The disaster could not have come at a worse time for our farmers, who hitherto look forward to a bumper harvest this year to reduce the rising cost of food items. It is a major setback to the federal government effort to boost local rice production as part of measures to end rice importation. The flood is a serious setback towards addressing food security in the country. The government, therefore, needs to address the shortfall of the food supply chain.
Meanwhile, a bill to fight cybercrime is to be considered in the Senate. This was revealed by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Information Communication Technology after a visit to cybersecurity firms in Abuja. According to him, the visit is part of efforts to secure government institutions.
Our youth are trying to engage in cyber crime activities, and it's quite alarming, and the Senate is not sleeping over it. The National Assembly in general, we are not sleeping over it. There is a bill that is actually coming up to strengthen the fight against cyber crime, and we're calling the public to actually make their relevant contribution by the time we come into public hearing to that effect.
With the COVID-19, there's been a lot of activities within the cyberspace, which actually has made it weaponized. And the cyber criminals actually are not resting on their oars. So what we do here is to try to stay ahead of them, such that we're able to prevent, detect, and respond to cybersecurity challenges.
A member of the House of Representatives, Jarigbe Agom from Cross River State, who contested in the PDP Cross River North senatorial primary election, which held on the 5th of September, is accusing the leadership of the party of attempting to shortchange him.
They are not competent.
Mr. Jarigbe says he won the election comfortably after scoring 381 of the 497 votes cast, as witnessed by the Independent National Electoral Commission. He is worried that a different name has been sent to INEC, but says he remains confident in INEC to do the right thing according to the electoral law.
There was a premeditated move to favor a particular candidate who happens to be the choice of the governor or the preferred candidate of the governor. That's why on the list of the panel, you had the governor's very good friends as chairman, secretary, and all of that. It took a protest from me to have two members on that panel. And I hear on good authority that the National Working Committee of the PDP, manipulated by the national chairman, adopted the report submitted by the compromised panel. And they have so sent the name of my opponent to INEC. But that's subject to litigation, and we're in court already. And we will be dwelling on sections 85, 86, and 87 of the Electoral Act. I am very, very satisfied with INEC, the INEC's role in the whole of this, because INEC is one. And when we talk about INEC, we talk about INEC headquarters.
Now, I sat down with a member of the House of Representatives Committee on Environment, Representative Dumna Menedeko from Ogoniland, representing Kana Federal Constituency, on the cleanup exercise in the area, which the Ogoni elders claim has been abysmal. Take a listen.
Truth be told, I haven't seen anything. All I've seen is HIPEP, which is a structure that is very faulty, and I think that's really achievement that has been done in terms of the cleanup. Our prep is the structure that must be there so that they can kickstart it. But outside high prep, nothing about the cleanup.
You say nothing's been done, but High Prep has made a good move. And it's interesting you say that because not everyone thinks that High Prep has done well. In fact, the elders of the council are questioning they're calling for the comprehensive overhaul and restructuring of the project across all levels of the state. They say that High Prep, as presently structured, cannot function efficiently to deliver an important and colossal project like this. So what have you seen differently?
Well, just what I'm saying is in line with even what the elders have said. I'm just informing you that they have a structure.
It's like commendable structures.
No, it's not. High Prep is just a name, and it has to do with some staff and emoluments and hotel bills and all that. That's all we've seen about about the structure called High Prep, because High Prep is supposed to be an organized structure that is supposed to be put in place to address the issues of the cleanup. But as it is constituted now, it cannot also address.
What's wrong with the constitution of High Prep?
When you look at it, I think in the first place, High Prep is not. They don't have the capacity, if I use that word, permit me to use that word, they don't have the capacity to address the issue of the cleanup. I don't believe that those at the helm of affairs in High Prep are prepared to address the issues of the cleanup. Because you cannot imagine that 5 years after they've been set up, 5 whole years, not one item that they're supposed to address has been addressed. Not one community in the whole of the 56 wards of Ogoniland, not one community has drinking water. And that's part of what they're supposed to do as a precondition for them to start. As ordinary as water, they have 0. You understand? Virtually all other indices, except the structure, the name called High Prep, which is just put in place to pay salaries and all of that. Because even if you look at the recruitment pattern in terms of how the contractors they get contractors and all that, it's just a mess.
It's the same thing that the Ogoni elders say. They say that the complex governance structure was also largely composed of political appointees and with indefinite tenures of appointment. They go further to say that majority of the members are direct and indirect representatives of the complicit JFE, that's the joint venture structure that led to the pollution. They questioned executive decisions for the cleanup that can easily be influenced by their interests. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Let me just inform you. In the House, I happen to be a member of the Environment Committee. And I was privileged to be in one of our interactive sessions with High Prep and the minister and all that. In fact, that was where publicly, even members of the governing council, some of them were able to understand that the JV partners, that's the IOCs, have released, the second tranche of the $180 million. It was there and then. So everything is shrouded in mystery. You understand? And so it's a program that is supposed to be owned by the people. You can't find any Ogoni man. Forget those who hang around, some persons who are in the structure called High Prep. You can't see any Ogoni man that can tell you that, look, he or she knows what's going on. Because there's actually nothing going on.
But there's been no statement from your committee regarding this. You say that you've met with them and what you see is not commensurate with the amount of money that have been released to them. Your committee hasn't really responded to that.
I sit here as an Ogoni man representing Kana and Gokana Federal Constituency.
A member of the committee.
Yes, and I'm also a member of the committee, but I don't have the mandate of the committee because I am aware we had visited the site and we came back before the issue of the COVID-19 issues that hampered all our operations and all that. But I know the committee is alive to their responsibilities. I'm sure, and I believe that when they come up with their recommendations and their findings, I believe maybe we can speak from that point, but from the point of being an indigene of the place and a representative of the people, I can tell you very clearly that it's a sham.
But what moves have your committee made so far during this investigative process?
There's a special committee that has been put up by a special subcommittee that has been put up by the committee itself, which is looking at high prep very, very closely. And I think that is going to hasten, is going to fast track the process of ensuring that all the bits that we've gotten from all the points are together. We have interacted with the minister and all that. And I also know that towards the end of the month, we're going to do further interactions as a follow-up to our visits to Rivers State and to Ogoniland.
But do you have an idea how much money has been released so far?
Well, we're told, as at that time, we're told they had released about $360 million as at then. And the IOCs made it clear that they were not releasing any more money because nobody was requesting for any money. And the money so released, apparently they may not have been used. So why do they release more money?
Money, you said nobody has requested. Nobody in this case would be who?
Nobody in this case is high prep. High prep is not, they are not working. So why would they want to ask for more money? That is the position of the IOCs. I don't even understand. And like we said, the structure, I think it's just set up to pay salaries and hotel bills of their staff and all that. If not, I don't see anything else they are doing. We have made calls, repeated calls, for the procurement processes to be a bit more flexible, and so that if they claim that is their problem, let them make it a bit more flexible and give some waivers so that they can work.
How are your people taking this? Because you already pointed out that the provision of potable water is very important, especially this COVID-19 period where hand washing is very much advised. This hasn't been provided, as you rightly pointed out. What impact has this had on your people, and how are your people taking it?
The Ogoni man, we have had a long history of long suffering, and where people like that are completely environmentally terrorized, and it's improving every day. The level of our neglect and terrorism is improving every day. So, and we're not violent. Maybe it's because we're not violent people. That is why everybody comes to take us for granted. But I think that this program of high prep, if followed to the letter, will address a lot of our issues. But since it's not addressing it, we have kept talking to our people. Please let us hold our peace. Because let me just give you a very simple example. When I visited the site, I didn't see any Ogoni man that I know. I've been deputy speaker in Rivers State. I've been supervisor for works in my local government. I've been around. I've been commissioner for works. I know a lot of people in my area. I'm a grassroots politician. But all you see when you go to the site is some soldiers, 10-looking soldiers and policemen, and some young men that they just dress. You see their coveralls are brand new. They just dress them because the House Committee on Environment is coming to visit. We don't want to see this kind of nonsense anymore. Let me tell you something. The violence in most communities in the Niger Delta can be stopped. Let me give you a very simple example, like in Ogoniland. Those who have no job doing and they are hungry and they can be violent, and a program like this comes up, why do you go and pay so much money to the office of the NSA, according to the project coordinator? Why do you pay that kind of money to the office of the NSA? What do you need soldiers in Ogoniland for? When we have young men that are prepared to work. If they need security men, we have young men, just provide for them, and you don't have to even go to any site with a policeman. I said I visited there, all I saw were security personnel.
Police, soldiers?
Soldiers, police, and just mention them. In fact, they line the streets. It's most of the areas, like in my own local government, when we went there, I had expected that the neighboring communities, that their land is to be remediated. You see maybe the chiefs and some people and all that. We're not violent people, but you won't see one of them. So would you ask the questions? Because when you come to a community to do an investigation, those who are contractors, you'd like to find out what their challenges are, why they are doing well, and why they're not doing well. Where are the community people? How do you ask? Even those they wear coveralls on, how do you find out if these people are actually from that community? Do you understand?
So there's no community engagement.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know because what all we see as community engagement is, you see, it's even in their things they fly around. Some health personnel will come to a community. You see, they are doing a seminar, and they're going to do some health issues. They come and take your blood, what do we call it, your BP, and when they take that, they talk to you and they walk away. That's not the kind of thing that is recommended by UNEP. Do you understand? Now, let me also tell you, for us to even think about remediation in the first place, there are certain basic things that are supposed to be put in place. Not one, including the Center of Excellence and all that. Not one has been done. Water is not anywhere found, and all that. That one is not even enough. People, you know what they call fire, these artisanal refineries that are coming up. Now, if you are cleaning up a contaminated site, and side by side, another contaminated site is coming up through the activities of the artisanal refiners, you understand? Then what exactly are you doing? You are cleaning point A while point B is being contaminated. And there's provision in the UNEP report where all these artisanal refineries and those who participate in it are supposed to be mopped up so that that level of contamination does not occur anymore. And there's also a provision for them to be given an alternative livelihood.
It's an outright scrapping being suggested by the federal government to avoid repollution. Is that something you would support?
Of course, if government really wants to, ensure that these things don't happen. Because if you don't get it right, this is the pilot scheme, and it's starting from Ogoniland. If you get it wrong here, you're getting it wrong everywhere. And nobody should tell us that cleanup has not been done in other parts of the world, like some of them bandy around. You understand? For us to get it right, let us look for ways and means to stop the contamination first. Now you hear they say oil has been found in large quantities in is it the Chad Basin or the Benue Trough and all that. If it is true, then government should look for ways and means to ensure that the PIB is passed and assented to. Do you understand? If that is done, it will address all these issues that we have been suffering.
But the PIB now lies with the National Assembly.
Let us be very, very fair and very open to each other. We live in a society where there is complete imbalance. Nigeria is skewed, completely skewed. Because like me, I'm from Rivers State. In the House of Reps here, we're just 13 of us. There are some local governments in Nigeria, there are some states in Nigeria that have well over 20. Do you understand? And so that imbalance has been there from the word go. And at the end of the exercise, take like Rivers State and Bayelsa State now. Bayelsa has 5 members of the House of Reps. Rivers has 13. If there's a vote between Rivers State and Bayelsa State and Rivers State decides to have it, you just have it.
So it's clearly suggesting that as far as the National Assembly goes, there's a likelihood that people are placing politics over the people.
You cannot separate politics, from like me. I mean, everybody who's been voted here into the National Assembly here, first of all, should be a statesman. Do you understand? But you see, it's difficult. It's difficult because, like me, as an Ogoni man now, you cannot expect that I will vote against my people. I will not. I will advance the cause of my people. And to that extent, that's where you see the imbalance.
There's also the issue of 775 jobs being provided so far by the federal government. I think the federal government says that the cleanup project has so far provided about 775 jobs. You represent the area. Do you see that?
I'm not aware of one. All I'm aware of is casual laborers who are put through very, very terrible processes. I was on the site. Even those they pay 4,000 naira for their job, because they are paid on daily basis. They work for months and they don't get their pay. They were protesting. And even when they protest, High Prep will use their own soldiers and all that to send them away. It's like slave labor that is going on there. Who are those? Except maybe the project coordinator and maybe his aides and one or two persons in the office. The major people who are in the field, according to them, those they put in place when we are coming to visit, you discover that they are casual laborers.
So as somebody from that area, how do you suggest that this cleanup is done? And what time frame are you looking for this to happen? Because we understand that this could take anywhere from 25 to 30 years, which is a long time.
First of all, it should be taken as an emergency. It should be taken as one of the greatest national emergencies in Nigeria. Should be the cleanup of Ogoniland. The reason is very simple. There's a community called Nsisioke in Eleme, in Ogale. You can find out that the benzene level of water that is being consumed in that place and many parts of Ogoniland is quite frightening. And that's why if you go to Ogoniland now, you see a lot of people are going blind, a lot of things are happening, and nobody cares. Now, if you address those basic issues, first of all, is to sustain livelihood. Let the people also be alive. Do you understand? Once it is addressed at that level, overhaul High Prep. Overhaul High Prep completely and make it responsive to the reasons for its setup. You discover that it will go smoothly. The Ogoni people are very welcoming to the cleanup. We are prepared to do anything whatsoever to make sure that the cleanup goes smoothly. But High Prep are so constituted now, cannot deliver that.
Where does the state government come in all of this?
Well, of course, prior to this time, I don't know if now Rivers State government has been carried along in whatever they're doing. You know, when High Prep came up, it was used as a tool by the APC, and I make bold to say so. They used it as a tool to look for votes from the Ogoni people, and very unfortunately, it has remained so because Rivers State government is not carried along. The local government councils are not carried along. You don't walk into somebody's farmland and start to harvest. Do you understand? Rivers State government, as represented by His Excellency the Governor of Rivers State, like is known all over Nigeria, will even help in every way that is required of them to make sure that the project is successful. Even as it is now, even without being consulted, Rivers State government has also been ensuring that, you know, the necessary palliatives, you know, for the people not to revolt are put in place so that at least the project can go on. And so now, if the federal government, through the IOCs and through High Prep and all that, are coming to do the cleanup, let Rivers State government and the people of Rivers State and the people of Ogoniland especially be carried along.
Well, that's all the time we have on The Gavel today. Thanks for watching. Remember to send feedback to The Gavel at channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.